Welcome everyone to Color Commentary. We are your pauper commentators, Michael Petchik and Adrian Gonzalez. How's it going, Adrian?
Good, Mike. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Set review.
Yeah, it's a set review week.
It's a set review episode.
And it is miserable and rainy here, but I'm nice and warm in my office, so...
Coming to you live from Austin, Texas. Sunny Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I bet it's already intolerably hot there, isn't it?
It's 80 degrees.
Oh, God.
It's only April.
Yeah. God.
I live in hell.
Yeah. So when's the 100-degree weather getting there? Is that fully June?
Oh, no. I would expect it in May.
Oh, man. There are things I do not miss about Texas. Let me tell you.
No, Mike. In Texas, we'd say, tell you what. Fixing to go to the H-E-B for some groceries.
Oh, God. We're getting into this. All right. But yes, we have a set review. We've got some pre-show, some upkeep stuff, to take care of, get stuff out of the way. But then we're getting into just about an hour of talking about new cards because there's a new set. It's a pretty neat set, and we're excited about it. So what do you have for us, Adrian?
Well, howdy, y'all. We have a Patreon. For just $1 an episode, you too can hear the pre and post show. Sorry, I've changed this, which is not actually about Magic and is really just us hanging out. So if you think you'd like to hear more about Mike and I's personal life for just $1 an episode, you can get access to that. And you get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord channel where I had a slightly inebriated AMA the other day. So, fun times.
Yeah. Good, wholesome fun. We are also brought to you in part by Hipsters of the Coast. They are a content hub for all things Magic the Gathering related. All sorts of different articles covering a variety of formats and a variety of mediums as well. There's podcasts, there's articles. Go check them out and give them a follow on some social media platforms. All right, Adrian. It's War of the Spark time. This set is real neat. As per usual,
creature, cat. No, sorry. Go ahead.
As per usual, we will be going through in Wooburg order, so the regular order for Magic cards, and alphabetized. And this time, we've actually culled the list a little bit. We heard people's feedback that they were not enjoying the fact that a large majority of the cards in sets nowadays are not playable in Pauper, and hearing that over and over again was not great entertainment. So we culled the list quite a bit. There are 90 new commons. We've got like 20-ish in here to talk about.
Yeah.
That said, though, this set, a lot more interesting commons than the average.
Yeah, I do want to say that even though, just like always, most of the cards are not really playable, wow, this set, from an uncommon, rare, mythic level, even to the common level, this set is it's going to be remembered in the same vein, I think, as a set like Zendikar or Mirrodin. Maybe not Mirrodin, but it's going to be remembered as an extremely powerful set. In my opinion. What do you think, Mike?
I think the thing, and I've got limited on the brain because me and some folks are going to a Team Sealed GP. The thing that this reminds me of a lot is actually something recently. It reminds me a little bit of Dominaria and that like feel of like, oh wow, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of text on these cards. Yeah, like everything does a thing. There are very few actual vanilla cards in here that are just boring. And we'll get into the mechanics as we go, but the key thing about this set is there's a ton of Planeswalkers. There's one in every pack. None of them are common, as we predicted way back when we first learned that there would be a Planeswalker in every pack. But there's a bunch of neat stuff that kind of meshes in with that. And starting things off, it is Charmed Stray, which is a white for a 1/1 life-linking cat. And whenever it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control named Charmed Stray. I kind of just put this one in here, both at the request of someone and the fact that why doesn't this have the any number can be in your deck
I
keyword?
Think that would be insane, honestly. As is, I think it's merely good. I could see this at home in a deck that is basically like a mono white aggro strategy. Definitely not soldiers, not metalcraft, but maybe like just mono white. I mean, it scales up really well But I only think it's true. Hold on, let me back up a little. I think it's only truly good if you have 2 of them in your opening hand.
Yeah, like if you have just that, like even if you had 3 of them in your hand, right? Like that feels real good because then
Right, that's 5 power on turn 2. Right? Am I mistaken?
6 power.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
and you're swinging with 3 of it.
oh, it's each other creature named Charmstray. I thought it was each one gets another counter. Yeah, yeah. So, like that's good. But I think like by itself, not really that impressive. 1/1 white lifelinker, but I could see it seeing play. But I think we both know why some of the fun cards aren't going to see play out of this set.
Yeah, I will say I do love the art on this thing.
I like it a lot.
It's a very regal looking stray.
It's kind of like my cat.
Yeah, it does kind of look like John. All right. What do we have up next?
Next, we have a playable card, Gideon's Sacrifice. W gets you an instant. Choose a creature, planeswalker you control. All damage that will be dealt this turn to you and permanents you control is dealt to the chosen permanent instead. Mike, I think this card's really good.
Okay, this is a really interesting effect, and this kind of highlights the thing I was saying. There's a lot of words on these cards.
Yeah. So I think the most obvious comparison is to a card like Prismatic Strands. And I could see this being run in the Boros deck. It especially combos with Guardian of the Guild Pact, protection from monocolored. So you could basically use it as like, you could use it to like save yourself from a pestilence, even if your opponent gets greedy on that, or like a corrupt, or there's just a lot of applications for this card. What do you think?
I think it's really interesting. So it does have, like, in our case, some flavor text about planeswalkers. That doesn't matter. Like at the base rate, this is a fog where you potentially sacrifice a creature. If you're also blocking with stuff, you can set this up in a way where you profit out of that combat a lot more than you would otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, is there any like weird combo-y stuff that could be done with this? Like,
well, I immediately thought of Tireless Tribe also. You could, I don't know, like that's actually really tough. You could save the tribe on toughness, and maybe that's getting a little too fancy, but at the end of the day, you can always just discard it if you don't need it.
I will note, I'm trying to remember here, is corrupt actually damage? You did mention that one, because this doesn't actually nuke life loss, which is kind of the.
I'm pretty sure corrupt is damage. Yeah. It's
corrupt does deal damage. Okay, I was trying to remember because I know sometimes they like to word those as loses life, you gain life. But yeah, this is a really interesting card. And you mentioned Guardian of the Guild Pact. I do think that is like the top tier, right? As far as the best situation for this. But I do really love that this is a fog that can also just brick big damage spells. Like the fact that you can use this to save yourself from a lethal fling from an ATOG or a lethal rolling thunder, even though both of those are kind of, not in vogue at the current moment. It does have applications there. And yeah, just real neat. Also, story spoiler alert, Gideon dies in this one.
Oh.
He just straight up dies.
Oh.
All right. Next up, after Gideon's Sacrifice, we have a slightly less complicated card. This is Makeshift Battalion. So it's 2 and a white for a 3/2. Whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So just sort of a go wide white aggro card.
That's the Boros mechanic from Return to Ravnica Battalion.
Yes. The Makeshift Battalion.
Oh, it is called Battalion.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
You are thinking of that. I included this because this is, we've seen a 2 and a white 3/2 before just as a vanilla creature. So seeing them tack on this additional ability that benefits a thing that white decks generally tend to want to be doing is nice.
It could be good in the soldier deck.
It is a soldier. That is a fair point. Like it does have that creature type, and this thing, if you cast it turn 3, like it's not unreasonable for you to have 2 other bodies to get in there. So this being a 3 mana 4/3 is pretty okay in my mind.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think it's the strongest thing you can be doing, but I think like the mono white beatdown deck can make good use of it. I also want to point out we got a Boros lady, a Deemer guy, and a Simic guy in this picture.
Yeah, this is the whole like the whole plane is bonding together to like defeat Bolus.
Yeah, and you have those really sweet like cross guild spells now. Those are really sweet.
Yeah, there's that cycle at uncommon of like the guilds working together. What do we have up next? That's pretty much it for white, but what do we have next?
Up next, we have Aven Eternal, which is 2 and a blue for a zombie bird warrior, a 2/2 with flying. When Aven Eternal enters the battlefield, amass 1, which is put a 1/1 counter on an army you control. If you do not control an army, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. So you have 3 mana for 3 power across 2 creatures. Mike, I don't like this card very much.
I think this was one of the best examples we got of an ETB version of this keyword, and also kind of like a reasonable place to sort of enter on this. So how do you feel about amass as a keyword?
I think it's a cool keyword. You and I discussed it privately, and maybe even in our peasant show, where you called that rare basically like better Mole Drifter because it was an instant, it drew you cards, and then you amassed or whatever. Pretty sure that was a rare. So I like it as a mechanic, but I think that it is at its best when it's on an instant or a sorcery. I don't know if it being on a creature is really the best.
All right, then let me just neatly segue that into our next card.
Yes, please do.
And this I think is legitimately a pretty reasonable card. So this is Callous Dismissal. It's 1 and a blue for a sorcery. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Amass 1. So this is in the abstract, and I'm going to probably wind up comparing a lot of these amass instances and sorceries. This is not dissimilar to a Man of War.
Yeah, I can see that. The things I don't like about this card are that it's a sorcery.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. And how relevant do you think amass 1 is? Like 1 doesn't seem great, and like this card, you can't even like bounce a tribe, a tireless tribe. You know what I mean? Or a lethal tireless tribe. You know what I mean?
You can bounce a. Because it's sorcery. Gotcha. Right. Sorry, I was like, what part of this doesn't let you bounce tireless tribe? But no. That is correct. I do think that this as an instant, this probably I could see have at some point in R&D was an instant, and then they realized that like there is not a great play experience of like attack with a bunch of stuff. Okay, cool. Bounce your biggest thing. Eat your X1. Yeah,
I think that being an instant would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I do like this though. Like Man of War at 2 mana feels pretty reasonable, and I don't know. I like the fact that it does come with a body, even if it's pretty inconsequential. That said, like I'm not sure what deck would want this, right? Because Mono Blue Delver plays Snap as its bounce spell of choice, and I think this is worse than Snap in most situations.
Yeah, Snap untapping mana is really good and probably more relevant than a 1/1. But I agree that this is more in the direction of what I'm looking for off of these amass cards. Basically, like you said, it's basically a creature that bounces a non-land permanent. So yeah, it's kind of like a 1/1 Mana War for 1 less.
Yeah.
You also get the benefit of using Archaeomancer, is it Chronomancer, Scrivener, any of those cards. Well, I guess not Scrivener. Any of those cards to return it to your hand. Mnemonic Claw is what I meant to say. And recasting it. And I think that ups the value of these quite a bit.
Yeah, the fact that these do stack well, you are kind of like... There's a little bit of impetus for you to play more copies of these spells, just because it does, like, if you resolve 4 of these, like, having bounced 4 things and having a 4/4 left over is, like, fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the interesting thing with the mass. Now, obviously, a mass is very weak to bounce effects, but it is black. It is a zombie, which does get around 2 of the 2-drop black pieces of removal, the Doomblade and Victim of Night, which is a nice upside. But yeah. Also, real quick, just before people ask, there aren't other army creatures. This is the only instance of it. Yes, you can put these on changelings. I was going to say you can put it on changelings. The pauper changelings are not super great. No. I guess technically, like if you really want to go super deep on something, you could use, what is it, Blades of Velasvel, the one that gives the creature all. It's like a combat trick where 2 creatures get +2/+0 or something, and then they get every creature type. I don't know.
Mike, please.
Like you've got to dig real deep to make use of this, other than just treating it as a token.
Fetch is not happening. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
All right, what's next in our blue options?
I feel kind of bad. I feel like I'm taking this card away from you. Crush Descent, 3 and a blue, instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2, amass 2. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is a good card.
Yeah, and
is it good enough for the format? I don't know, but this is a good card.
I think if we had this maybe a year ago, people would be complaining about this card in teachings.
Yeah, absolutely. This card is great in teachings, in my opinion. I even don't hate this card in Tron.
I guess that is the one deck that could kind of negate the fact that this is a 4-mana counterspell.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a huge investment.
It's basically Pauper Cryptic Command.
No. It's Mystic Snake, you dummy.
That's what I meant. It's Pauper Mystic Snake.
And I mean, we've talked about this card before on the show, and I don't think that comparison is completely like out there crazy town talk. Like, I do legitimately think that comparing this to something like Mystic Snake this is the closest to Mystic Snake we will ever see in our format in the next 5 years. And
I think this card is super duper sweet.
Yeah, I think if Teachings was still a deck within the metagame, we would see this card played. And I think I'm willing to just toss this out there. I just need to double check real quickly. I think this is one of the cards most likely to see play. There's a couple others that I think are more likely, but I think this is within the top 3 in my mind for most likely to actually see play in like a 5-0 or like league placing list.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's a good card. Continuing
on, slightly less playable, but I did want to bring up Wall of Runes. So it's a blue mana for an 0/4 wall with Defender, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1. I wanted to put this in here because this is, again, reminiscent of a card that people have talked about in the past. Like, this has shades of Wall of Omens, the 2-mana 0/4 draw card on ETB.
That one actually draws the card.
That said, it's 1 mana for 4 toughness, and if there were still plentiful aggro decks that attacked on the ground, this would be like, imagine in the heyday of Stompy playing this as like your turn 1 as the control deck.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, they basically can't get through ever.
And
ever.
And it also, gives you an extra scry, so if you have this in preordain, it's not like, okay, well, I'm losing out on the turn 1 preordain value. It's like, okay, I get to scry and fix my draws a little bit and make sure things are going to work out a little bit better. I think this is a really neat take on that sort of that type of card. What do we have next?
Up next, we have Banehound. B gets you a 1/1 Black Nightmare Hound with lifelink and haste. Not a huge fan.
But Adrian, there's that mono black 1-drop stack.
Is there a mono black 1-drop stack?
That old, we covered it ages ago on the show.
14 land swamp.
Yeah. The 14
this-
land aggro thing.
This can't be one of the 1-drops you want to cast in that deck, is it?
It's got
that deck's
haste.
playing like Carnophage.
It's playing Carnophage. It's playing a bunch of other like quote unquote two ones for one.
What if you Dark Ritual 3 of these out on turn 1?
Yeah, like that's kind of what I'm thinking, because that deck
Can
is
you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I'm just kind of shocked that we got a double keyworded 1/1 for one, even if lifelink and haste are not kind of the top keywords I'd put on a 1/1 for one. I think if you traded either of those for flying, I'd be happier with it, but like that
and
also feels unrealistic.
It also lacks the utility of like the red haste 1-drops. I'm thinking specifically of Fanatical Firebrand, where even later you can get in for 1 additional damage by sacking it, or you can kill an opponent's X1 by sacking it. This doesn't have that option. It just has lifelink instead.
Yeah, it's just I guess like technically it starts you at 21, right?
Yeah, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think it's great. Also, when was the last time we saw Nightmare as a creature type? I feel like that's literally all the way back to like Torment, but I'm probably wrong. I'm sure someone will let me know. Next up, we have Herald of the Dreadhorde. Herald is a 3 and a black creature zombie warrior. It's a 3/2, and when it dies, you amass 2. So I'm not thrilled about the rate of this, but that seems like a pretty reasonable chunk of bodies. Like over the course of both of them, that's 5 power. I think this is mainly
it's hard. You don't really want to kill it. Yeah, I think mainly limited as well.
Yeah, the mana cost is a little high for this to be something that fits into like the green-black aristocrats list we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing I'd expect them to include in black for using the amass keyword. And that's kind of all I got to say on it. What do you have up next?
Sorry, I was looking up nightmares. Up next, we have Kaya's Ghost Form. B. Enchant creature planeswalker. You can enchant creature you control. When enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So this is a really interesting card.
Yeah, because we've seen examples like Supernatural Stamina, Undying Evil. These have all been in the format for a while now, and this one's got some extra riders in there that are interesting. Now, is the fact this isn't an instant, does that just kill this?
Being an aura is really, really tough.
Yeah, it both like signals to your opponent what you care about in that game and just baits out instant speed interaction.
The Planeswalker clause, interesting but irrelevant, and the Exile clause, interesting but I think also largely irrelevant because anything... No, not anything. I feel like 9 times out of 10, Undying Evil is just going to be better because it's an instant. Or Supernatural Stamina. Now, what I do like about it is the Exile thing. So that makes it so your opponent can't oubliette or journey it profitably. But like you said, this is an enchantment. So, it's not like they're going to be doing that to the creature. Once you have this enchanted on it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, in some ways, like that does let you kind of like use this as a ward for like those type of effects because they're not the most efficient. I mean, I guess Journey's pretty efficient when it comes to white removal in our format, but it does disincentivize them targeting it because you just immediately get it back out from underneath. I don't know. This is an interesting one, and it's interesting to see that it actually like get something back from exile because these effects are generally kind of rare in Magic. I think there's
especially in black.
Yeah, there were 2 of them in Time Spiral, and then there were the processors in Battle for Zendikar. But
the I forgot about that.
But the processors like bring back your opponent's stuff from exile, so that's like a completely different sort of interaction. I don't know. This is It's funky, and it's got just enough like extra text on it that I'm intrigued by it. Someone did mention that people have talked about using this in that Zubera Storm deck. I don't think it's better than the existing options for that deck.
No, I agree.
So I guess it does let you kind of save on mana for your big combo turn. Like you can put this on something the turn before, and then if you survive through, you get an extra trigger off of it. Food for thought.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Lazotep Reaver, which is a zombie beast. What animal is this?
It's the same creature as Arcbound Ravager, clearly.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is also inexplicably a beast.
Have you seen the promo art for Arcbound Ravager?
I do not like it.
But it looks
yes.
a lot more beast-like, if nothing else. But Lazotep Reaver is 1 and a black for a creature zombie beast. It's a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, you amass 1. So this is a 1/2 that brings along a 1/1. This is I guess a black raise the alarm at sorcery speed with a little bit of upside.
I like that. I like that, Mike. I like where your head is here.
It's the popper raise the alarm.
Wait, what? Yeah. I don't think this card is bad, but I don't think it's particularly good.
The only thing I can see this in is Aristocrats.
Oh, yeah. Then you have 2 things to sacrifice. Okay, no, I can see that.
And even there, like, I'm not sure there's enough of these sort of 2 bodies on 1 card in black to, like, if you could make that deck mono black somehow, I feel like it just gets a lot better, because then you're actually able to not play ETB tapped lands as much and sort of mitigate the games that you lose just playing a turn off. The catch is, like, that does take you out of the color that lets you have trample, and that might make it so that that deck never really fully works. But I do think this one's interesting. I do think 2 bodies on a 2/2 on a 2 mana card, and is reasonably neat. Also actually gets you the exact same power and toughness cumulatively as Nest Invader.
Oh, yeah, it is like Nest Invader.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, I don't hate it.
What's up next?
Up next, we got a card we've already talked about a little on the show. Up next list is Cruelty. 2 and a black gets you an instant. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile instead. This card is good.
Yeah. I think this is one of the best pieces of removal that we've gotten through a standard release in quite some time. Probably in terms of like targeted removal.
Yeah, it's really, really strong. It's good against Gurmag Angler, which I know is what most people are going to think of, but it's also good against other really annoying creatures like Young Wolf or Stormbound Geist. It kills Delver. It can kill Tireless Tribe, but they have to sacrifice 2 things to Tireless Tribe or discard 2 things to save it. Like, I really like this card.
It eats Mnemonic Walls. It eats Stonehorn Dignitaries.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong card.
What does this not kill, like, on its own, not counting like
Eldrazi, whatever.
Yeah, like it doesn't kill Ulamog's Crusher. It doesn't kill Eldrazi Devastator. Apart from that, I'm pretty sure that this hits almost everything in the format.
It's really solid. Really solid.
And like, it's also nice that this doesn't have like any clauses on it. Like, you just have to be able to target the creature, and that makes this real sweet for me. Also, like, tell me this isn't going to be one of the prettiest foils in this entire set with that little bird.
Yeah, it's going to be
there.
pretty nice.
Ooh,
that poor little birdie. What's he going to do to that birdie? I don't like it.
Probably blow it up or melt it down or eat it. I don't know. Also, I do kind of love the fact that this art depicts like a demon who literally had to get his spark back and was like imprisoned on a singular plane in utter agony. The first time he planeswalks off, goes to Ravnica, blows up a bird.
Nicholas is just a real jerk. He's a real jerk.
Yeah. I just like this like cartoonish villainy. All right, next up. Yeah, very Sunday,
presumably.
Yeah, very Sunday morning cartoonish.
Yeah. All right. Next
up.
we got Skeletor.
yeah. The Eternals do have a kind of Skeletor vibe. They're buff, blue, and they have skulls for heads. So next up we have Spark Reaver, which is 2 and a black for a creature zombie. It's a 2/3, so reasonable body. Then it has the activated ability 3 generic mana, sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, gain a life, draw a card. I
don't hate it.
Yeah.
3 mana is a lot of mana.
Yeah. 3 mana is rough. Like, this at 1 mana feels too good. At 2? Is that too much? Is this one of these like impossible to like place at a good mana cost?
Yeah. I think anytime you have to pay mana to sacrifice something, you're already going down a tough road.
Yeah, I think they can't in good conscience though print like a free draw thing, no matter how limited it is.
Just free, you gain a life draw card.
Yeah, don't ever do that to us, Watsy. I personally
that wouldn't be good.
There's like multiple formats I don't want to see that in.
Even Skull Clamp costs mana to equip.
Yeah, there you go. Listen to the voice of reason. Even Skull Clamp isn't as bad as that proposed activated ability. But yeah, this is again more in here as sort of a note about relative power level. This is a neat effect. It's not one that we've seen a lot at Common, and seeing it here is real neat. All right, what do you have next?
Neat. Up next, we have Toll of the Invasion. Wow, this is some art. Target opponent reveals their hand. 2 and a black, sorry. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Amass 1. I have a big problem with this card, Mike, and that's it. It is a 3 mana discard spell.
It's a 3 mana no limit discard spell that comes with a 1/1. It's, I guess, best compared to Mesmeric Fiend.
Mesmeric Fiend costs 2 mana.
Mesmeric Fiend does cost 2 mana. It does kind of lock the thing in exile as well, so it doesn't feel miserable to play it against a graveyard deck. We're getting so close on this. Like,
if it was 2 mana,
if this was
I think it'd be fine.
If it was 2 mana, sure. Like, that feels fine to me. But we're getting so close in terms of like design, just giving us like a solid, like conceivably main deckable discard spell. We're never getting Inquisition of Kozilek, but we've resigned ourselves to that.
I'm not entirely convinced. No.
All right.
Happen.
As you mentioned, the art on this real cool. Yeah, the art on this entire set is just real sweet. I've been very happy with the art direction.
What do we have next?
Next up, we have Burning Prophet. So this is 1 and a red for a 1/3 human wizard. So a good venerable type line or power toughness line for 2 mana. The good old 1/3. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Burning Prophet gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and then you scry 1.
Looks like Mono Red has a new toy.
I don't even think this is Mono Red. I think that this fits perfectly for like those blue-red Dirtle control decks.
Okay.
Like,
so clear the way, scry a bunch, maybe draw some cards, hit for 4 or 5.
I think this is like conceivably a win con, but I think you mainly just play it to like keep scrying one. Like, Here's an example. In a deck with this, I run Think Twice. Think Twice is now 2 ops stapled together. Or I run this alongside Bolts, which I don't see why I wouldn't. Bolts now all come with a Scry 1 attached to them. So kill something, Scry 1.
Okay, I can see that.
I could see this being tested in Burn, but I just don't see that being quite the spot for like what are you cutting in Burn for this?
I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of like the Immolating Solier type deck.
Like the mono red, like blitzy style stuff. Maybe. I'm not sure like if the Scry 1's at its best there. I don't know. To me, this looks like a Dirtle control card that you're just getting value out of the Scry, and incidentally, you have a body that like holds 2/2s at bay. That's it. That's as much as I can see in that. All right, what do you have next?
Up next, we have the one, the only, Grim Initiate. Aura gets you a first strike, 1/1. When Grim Initiate dies, amass 1. So, flavors of Young Wolf. I just think being red is tough.
Is there? I mean, could you make a black-red aristocrats list?
Well, Mike, anything's possible.
Anything's possible, but like. This is strikingly similar in my mind to stuff like
Striking Sliver?
No. Blister Pod.
Yeah,
that sort
Striking
of stuff.
Sliver is an R 1/1 with first strike.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it. Maybe that deck has cards like Beetleback Chief, and, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a weird one to see in red in my mind. I don't know. This isn't like the sort of effect I generally associate with red's chunk of the color pie, but maybe they're getting a little experimental with it. Next up, let's talk about Heartfire. Adrian, is this Goblin Grenade?
What does Reckless Abandon do?
Reckless Abandon is this at sorcery speed. So let me read this card.
For one less.
Heartfire is 1 in a red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Heartfire deals 4 damage to any target. So this is Reckless Abandon exists, which is this for 1 generic mana less, but it's at sorcery speed. Is
being
this
an
playable?
instant is better. I think it is playable. Yes.
Okay. Now,
I think this is a good card.
Do you think this is goblins, or do you think like can Burn get away with this? Like if you're one of those Burn decks that
I do not think Burn can get away with this. I think Burn has too many other good spells it would rather play, including Flame Rift.
Oh, that is a good point. Flame Rift does not require you to actually have a creature on board that you want to sacrifice.
And I don't think a lot of Burn decks play Flame Rift. I think Flame Rift is better.
Okay. I definitely see that. It is nice that this goes to creatures as well. Like it can let you trade like a dorky 1/1 that's sitting around into a X4. I do like that, and I definitely like the fact that you can do this in response to removal. Main thing here. Rest in peace, goblins. You will be missed. You're never getting Goblin Grenade. All right, what's up next here?
Spell Gorger Weird, 2 in a red for a creature Weird, a 2/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Spell Gorger Weird. I think this card is good. I don't think it goes into Burn. I would like to see it maybe in that black-red Rakdos control list.
Just something that's kind of sitting around and would like a reasonably sized win con.
Yeah, but I think it's too slow for Burn, much too slow for Burn, and I can't think of many other decks it might go in.
Also,
but that black-red deck with the... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say definitely too slow for Blitz, because that's sort of the format's premier, like, cares about instants and sorceries.
Yeah, 3 mana, pass.
Yeah, it's a little slow. I won't lie to you there. It is nice that it's non-creature as well. Like the fact that this procs off artifacts for some reason is a nice upside.
Could you play it in Boros?
That feels awkward.
That feels dirtily.
I mean, I guess maybe the bully variant, because like they're already playing Seeker of the Way.
Yeah, and then it gets bigger off of the discard spells, the battle screeches.
Yeah, the lack of
that deck has a bunch of cards with flashback.
Yeah,
like Faithless Looting.
True, yeah.
It might be fine.
Yeah, the fact it's not white to flashback strands, and the fact that it like does not have evasion or the lifelink that Seeker gets is kind of a bummer, but maybe. I'm just happy to see. There was a version of this in Shadows over Innistrad. That was 1 mana more and had 1 toughness more and trample. But the difference between 3 and 4 mana in a deck that's trying to turn things sideways is pretty sizable.
Pretty significant.
All right. Next up, we've got a weird sloth-like thing. We've got our Boreal Grazer, which is also a beast, which has convinced me that word means nothing to R&D's type deciders. This is a green for a 0/3 with reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped.
I like it, and the reason I like it is because it is non-basics.
Yep. So Tron.
So you can Tron. But I was thinking specifically bounce lands.
Okay.
You could go turn 1, forest this little guy, play bounce land, return the forest to your hand.
Okay. I do kind of dig that. Start your next turn on 3 mana. You only have to have 2 lands at hand to get there. Okay. Yeah. I could see that.
I think that's the best case scenario for this card.
No, is the 0/3 reach body like?
I think it's relevant. It's relevant against maybe not like blue black Delver, but it's certainly good against Boros because it has so many flyers, and I think it's also even good against like mono blue Delver because you can block fairies all day and they can't ninjutsu you.
Okay, I can definitely see that. The fact that this dies to Delver is a bummer.
I think this card does a lot, but
okay.
Yeah, it does. If it was an 04, it'd be a different story. But yeah, I think I like this card quite a bit. It also doesn't have Defender, so put a 1/1 counter on it, put a Bone Splitter on it, and go to town.
Oh, that is true. I guess I kind of did assume it would have Defender from that stat line, but okay, yeah. And I guess like even in like a Tron shell, like I guess you can Ghostly Flicker this, get out more Tron lands.
Yeah. I don't love it in Tron. I think Tron has better ways of getting lands out. But okay. I guess it doesn't have a lot that just put it on the battlefield. I was thinking of like Crop Rotation, which I think is stronger in that deck because you're looking for specific lands. I really like this guy with bounce lands though.
Okay, yeah, I think that's legit. What's up next? And I really, really want you to nail the pronunciation on this one.
I don't know what it is. Is it Crunch?
Yeah,
like Crunch Wrangler. I don't get the joke. What is the Crunch joke? Like I get that it's Crunch. But like, why is this a meme that Wizards is endorsing?
It's just an internet meme, man. It just sounds kind of like Crunch. I don't fully understand it. I just think that that series of sounds is funny to me.
All right. Well, we got Crunch Wrangler. It's a 2 mana 2/1. 1 and a green for a human warrior with trample. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Crunch Wrangler. I just don't know what deck this goes in. It feels like a Stompy card, but you're not playing creatures with over 4 toughness and Stompy.
Come with me on this journey.
All right, let's go.
I wanna just toss this out there, float it by you. This in Affinity.
No.
It's the first deck I could think of with a bunch of 4/4s.
That's the first thing I thought of too. But like, if you're gonna play this in Affinity, you might as well just play Carapace Forger. What are you cutting?
Oh, I'm saying playing it with Carapace Forger.
Yeah, but again, what are you cutting for this card? It doesn't do anything.
I guess that's true. Like, the fact that it's not an artifact is a huge bummer. But
Look, if it was converted mana cost 4 or greater, yes, because then it would trigger off a Frogmite, it would trigger off a Mirror Enforcer, it would trigger off a lot of things.
Oh, wow.
A lot more things. 4 more things.
You actually just pointed out a very much better idea for a card for our format, but yeah. Okay. I see where you're coming from. I did want to bring this up just because it is a reasonably statted body with evasion on it that gets bigger.
Yeah, it's a nice card. I just don't think you're going to be able to play it in Pauper.
Also, weird that like Ferocious has suddenly become kind of an evergreen mechanic without them saying anything. Because this is the second set in a row that's had cards that care about 4 power or more. Just interesting. Next up we have Pollen Bright Druid, which we have talked about on the show actually fairly in depth. I think we can just kind of hit the highlights here. So this is 1 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. You either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. All right, fine. That's okay. Or you proliferate, which is the second of 2 mechanics in this set. And I'll read the reminder text here for folks at home. Choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each one another counter of each kind it already has. So where do you see this seeing play? Where do you see it fitting, if yes?
I think we talked about a little bit before Stompy. I think Stompy is good. Proliferate those young wolves, proliferate those Skargan pit skulks, or just put a 1/1 counter on it. Obviously not good with young wolf in that particular aspect. Still good with some other creatures though. I think Stompy's a good place for this. The other thing you could put it in is just straight up elves. Because I don't think it's super good in elves because what are you proliferating? If proliferate also did tokens, then maybe. But really, it only combos with Elvish Vanguard, so only that. But it also combos with serrated arrows. But I think the number one place you could play this would be mono green Stompy.
Yeah, and we did talk about it a little in the context of the green-black aristocrat stack as being both a body and a way to proliferate your carrion feeders and whatnot. And I think that's a reasonable place to slot it in. But yeah, I think this is something people are going to try and Stompy, and I think that it might just work. There's a lot of +1/+1 counters kind of incidentally in that deck. And there's also room to include other stuff. And if you go all in on that, there is actually a reward from the last set. Are you familiar with Titanic Brawl?
Yeah, that's you put a 1/1 counter and then it fights?
No. So it's an instant 1 and a green. Target creature you control fights a creature you don't control. And it costs 1 generic less if the creature has a counter on it. So you get a 1 mana instant speed fight if it has a +1/+1 counter on it.
Gotcha.
I don't like the fact that it doesn't buff stuff, but it might be good to just have like an instant speed 1 mana fight spell. I don't know. I could definitely see a take on Stompy that kind of leans in a little bit heavier on the +1/+1 counter theme. Seeing some success because of this card. All right, what do we have next?
Up next, we have, I think another card. We haven't talked about this one. We've returned to nature. They've done it. They've printed a strictly better naturalize. 1 of the green gets you an instant. Destroy target enchant. Choose one. Destroy target enchantment. Destroy target artifact. Exile target card from a graveyard. Who boy do I think this will get put into sideboards?
Yeah, it's nice to have that extra mode tacked on there. It's just nice enough. Now, I guess my question is exile 1 card out of the graveyard still relevant in our format? Because it
with Ghostly Flicker, I would say yes.
Like it eats Ghostly Flickers, and that's about it.
So let's put it this way. Let's say you're Stompy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're playing Naturalize for whatever reason instead of Gleeful Sabotage. Suddenly now you got Game Against Reanimator. You didn't have that before.
Okay. I think I'm just like in this spot of this being I think Wizards uses the term additive distraction, where I'm looking at this card and I'm like, how much better is this than naturalized? Because I'm having a hard time coming up with situations where I'd want the exile 1 card clause.
Well, I mean, it is strictly better.
Yeah, that's the
right?
thing. Like, even though it's strictly better, I feel like it's not
you're
that
right.
much better.
What deck is playing naturalized?
Yeah,
but if you are playing naturalized, I think you should just play this over it. There's no
certainly.
downside.
Yeah, and I mean, I could even see there being a justification for this, just kind of condensing your sideboard slots, just saying like, I don't want to devote space to, Relic of Progenitus. Like I'm just gonna run this, and that way I can kind of sort of combine these 3 hate cards into one. Again, exciting as well to just see something that's strictly better, especially something that they have printed so many times. So neat to see them sort of upping that power level of a classic card. Next up, oh boy, this is a big one. Let's talk about Vivian's Grizzly. So it's 2 and a green for a creature bear spirit. It's a 2/3. And it has the ability 3 and a green. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, you may reveal it, put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, put it on the bottom of your library. People have talked about this in Elves.
I think it's good in Elves.
4 mana is a lot, though. I know that deck goes nuts on its mana.
You just. I think you just play this instead of a Distant Melody. That's what Kendra the Maverick girl thinks, okay, Mike? And I'm gonna do what she thinks.
I know, and I do defer to her, but it does seem like a pretty big departure in terms of how those 2 cards work relative to one another.
I think it's also good in Stompy, because there are some Stompy. Sure, it's not a 4 of, it's a 2 of. There are some games in Stompy where you run out of gas and you're like, wow, I have 5 lands and no creatures. Should I lose this game? The answer is probably yes, but then you top deck your bear spirit and you're back in.
Okay, so please enlighten me as to these games that Stompy gets to 7 lands. That's my
big
happens,
thing. Okay, what about Stompy versus Teachings? I mean, a year ago, Mike. A year ago.
Let's just hop into the time machine. Talk about matchups that probably haven't been played in the last 365 days. No. I do think this is good, and I do like that it's an engine card. It's just one of those things where, again, like, there's part of me that's just like, 4 mana, man. That's a lot, but I guess like I have seen Elves go off and just like have 15 mana plus turns, and this does rip through the top 3 cards of your library on that. I guess it's just for me, like, I don't have enough experience with Elves as a deck on the playing side of things to fully understand how many games you got by the Singleton Island, to really understand how much of a benefit this presents. I mean, I guess you also get to cut the what are they, Sylvan Rangers, the 2 mana tutor a land on ETB thing.
Yeah, those are dumb.
Like you get to save what, 5 slots, and the island probably becomes another land, and you get to chuck in like 2 of these things, and then you got 2 bonus slots to do whatever you want with, I guess. I don't know. I actually, after saying all that, I do kind of like this.
I need to see it my way.
I'm coming around. All right, we got one more. You wanna take us through the end of this set review?
Yes, we have our artifact, Prismite. 2 mana gets you an artifact golem, a 2/1. 2, add 1 mana of any color. Mike, I don't like this card.
Tron.
Huh?
Tron.
No.
So,
why? Your lands do this for 1 less.
Your lands do this for 1 less. They tap. That's the only reason this is here, is the fact that this filters mana into colored mana repeatedly.
Like Cabal, whatever.
Oh, but you're the Blood Celebrant.
Yeah. Is there a combo with that? Does this just do that better?
I've seen. I think Blood Celebrant gets used in like some of the lines in One Land Spy,
Yeah.
where you need to be able to filter your mana.
This is a tough sell. This is the best artifact.
It was. Other options in this set included, I think, the worst take of a prismatic prophetic prism effect. And
wait, hold up. What about Guild Globe?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. It's the worst version of a prismatic prism you could print.
Because in the Monarch deck, you bounce this and draw cards. Is this better than Vial? Probably not. Vial's probably better.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, I think for folks at home, Guild Globe is 2 generic mana, artifact when ETBs, draw a card, 2 tap, sacrifice it, add 2 mana of different colors. I think
the Vial is better.
I that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Vial is better than that, and like the rest of the artifacts are not exactly inspiring.
You're right; they're all bad.
I'm
looking at them now. There's not a lot.
Mana Geode's going to be a very pretty foil again. Coming through those hot art takes, but like that's going to be a pretty foil, and it is strictly better Manalith, but I'm not sure that gets there. But for Prismite, I do think there is value in like having this available, and I could see it fixes repeatedly is the thing.
Sure.
And I don't think that it's perfect by any means, but I don't know. They couldn't have printed this with a 1 generic add 1 mana of any color on it. I don't think they want to do that. Like that just makes that a first pick, like a weird, like high pick in draft, and just encourages 5 color nonsense. But I don't absolutely 100% hate this in Tron. All right. So that brings us to the end of our review. So, Adrian, what out of this do you think is going to see play? We've talked about a lot of cards.
I think the 2 green cards we mentioned, the Grizzly, Palmbright Druid, and 3, and then the Naturalize. I think those have the most potential.
Okay, so do you think Stompy's going to see a little bit of a resurgence now that we have access to new tech for the deck?
No. I think the cards are good.
All right. Fair. I think out of this whole list, the things that really catch my eye in terms of ones that I expect will see some success are the Grizzly. I think that's just real solid. I think someone's going to run Ob Nixilis's Cruelty. I think it's just too efficient not to at least give it a whirl.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Ob Nixilis's Cruelty already. Yeah, that's good. And then the blue one is really good, too.
And Crush Descent. That's the other one. Like, someone's going to figure out where Crush Descent lives, and it's going to be neat, and I'm going to be real happy about it. And then it's probably going to vanish forever. On the realistic side of things. But yeah, I'm super excited about the future of standard sets if this is what we're seeing in standard sets. This is a lot different. Like, I forget what the first set review we actually did was, but I want to say that every card we reviewed today was probably better than what we reviewed then.
I want to say it was Shadows over Innistrad, but maybe I'm wrong.
It was either Shadows or Eldritch Moon. And
yeah,
off the top of your head, can you name a card from either of those that sees play?
Inspector Thraben.
Oh, okay, fair.
All right, the one card. Give me another one. No, that's probably the best one.
I'm just like looking through it real quick. I guess like Spontaneous Mutation saw fringe play for sideboards. Oh, Thermo Alchemist was in Eldritch Moon. Okay, I'm actually just completely forgetting these sets. Never mind. I'm just being a big old turkey.
You're right. The cards were bad. The sets were not very good.
No, yeah, they were not great for our format, but yeah, I am cautiously optimistic, as they say. All right. Do you have anything else on this this fine new set that has been introduced to our format, or would you like to take us out of the show? It's up to you.
Take us out of the show. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. This podcast is brought to you by one of our patrons, including Kuma. Consider supporting us if you like the show. Check for this video or the description of this podcast for details on where to find us. We'd like to remind you, if you're listening to this on a platform with reviews, they're always appreciated as they boost our visibility. If you've got a deck list, an idea for a topic, you can contact us either via our website or you can email us directly at colorcommentary@gmail.com. Special thanks to my LGS Pat's Games and Mike's LGS JP Comics, and of course L. You can find our theme song Quantitative and other great tracks over at soundcloud.net/ELLELLELL. Till next week, this is Adrian and Mike signing off for Color Commentary.